One question during a jailhouse interview just created a whole lot of tension. FYB J Mane recently interviewed Melo Bucks while she was incarcerated, and during that conversation, he asked her a question involving G Herbo. The question was simple. Did G Herbo put money on your books? But the way the question was asked, and especially the way Melo Bucks responded, caught people's attention. Then G Herbo saw the clip, and he had something to say. So was J Mane simply doing his job as a blogger and asking the question people wanted answered, or was he intentionally stirring the pot? Let's break down exactly what happened. What's going on, everybody? Today we're talking about the recent situation involving FYB J Mane, Melo Bucks, and G Herbo. Now before we get too deep into this, I want to make something clear. A lot of the discussion surrounding this situation is based on comments made during an interview, social media posts, and people's interpretations of what was said. So we're going to separate the actual statements from the opinions surrounding them. According to the original discussion, J Mane recently sat down for a jailhouse interview with Melo Bucks, a Chicago artist associated with No Limit and someone who has publicly been connected to G Herbo over the years. And during that interview, J Mane decided to ask a question that immediately got people's attention. J Mane asked Melo Bucks whether G Herbo had been putting money on her books while she was incarcerated. Did Herbo help you financially while you've been locked up? Now, on the surface, you could say it's just a question. That's what journalists, bloggers, podcasters, and interviewers do. They ask questions that their audience might be wondering about. But this particular question was different because of the relationships involved. Melo Bucks and G Herbo have been publicly associated with each other, and J Mane himself pointed out that connection during the conversation. So when J Mane asked about money, it wasn't just a random financial question. It was asking about the level of support between two people who are believed to be close. And Melo's response made things even more interesting. Instead of giving a simple yes or no, Melo Bucks basically said that the people who have always supported her are still supporting her. She emphasized that she hadn't lost love or support from the people who were already there for her. But here's where people started reading between the lines. Some viewers interpreted her response as suggesting that G Herbo hadn't been providing financial support. Now, to be fair, she did not directly say, G Herbo hasn't helped me. That's important. A response can be interpreted several different ways. But because J Mane specifically asked about Herbo, people naturally started paying attention to what she did and didn't say. And that's when the clip started making its rounds. Here's the thing about interviews. Sometimes the most important part isn't the answer, it's the reaction. People started analyzing Melo's tone, her laughter, and the way she answered the question. Some viewers felt like she was being intentionally vague. Others believed she simply didn't want to discuss her relationship with Herbo publicly. And there's another possibility. Maybe everything between them is completely fine, and people online simply read too much into the response. We don't actually know. But one thing we do know is that G Herbo eventually saw the conversation. And that's when the situation escalated. G Herbo responded publicly, and his reaction made it clear that he wasn't happy about his name being brought into the conversation. He accused J Mane of using his name to generate attention and questioned why bloggers kept bringing him up for content. Herbo also pushed back against the idea that he doesn't support people. According to the response discussed in the original script, Herbo said he takes care of multiple people, including helping people with money, books, and legal expenses. He also made it clear that if Melo Bucks needed something, she could contact him directly. So from Herbo's perspective, the issue wasn't necessarily whether he cared about Melo. His problem appeared to be that J Mane publicly questioned him about it, and that's a major difference. But there was one particular part of Herbo's response that became the focus of the entire conversation. Herbo essentially acknowledged that he had not personally put money on Melo's books, and that's where the situation became awkward. Because remember, that was the exact question J Mane originally asked. So even though Herbo was responding to defend himself, some people felt his response unintentionally gave the original question more attention. This is the problem with responding to social media commentary. Sometimes you can try to shut down a story and accidentally make the story even bigger. Now, let's talk about J Mane. Was he wrong for asking the question? That's where things get complicated. From a media perspective, you could argue that he was simply asking the question. That's what interviews are supposed to do. But if an interviewer knows their audience is curious about a particular relationship, they may ask about it. But there's another side. J Mane has publicly promoted himself as someone who's trying to push peace. And some people believe that asking a question like this doesn't exactly help that mission. In fact, some people accused him of doing the opposite. They felt he was intentionally creating tension by bringing up a sensitive subject. The original script also points out that J Mane has a history that makes some people question whether his peace message is genuine. So for his critics, this wasn't simply about one question. They saw it as part of a bigger pattern. At the same time, there's an argument to be made in J Mane's defense. If you're interviewing somebody, especially somebody involved in the culture and surrounded by controversy, you're naturally going to ask questions that generate conversation. And let's be honest, controversial questions get views. That's the reality of online media. A boring interview might get ignored. A clip involving G Herbo, Melo Bucks, and a question about money, people are going to click. So whether J Mane intended to cause drama or simply wanted an interesting answer, the clip accomplished one thing. It got people talking. But there's a bigger lesson here. When you're a public figure, you have to understand that anything you say can become content. A private conversation can become a headline. A joke can become a viral clip. And one question can turn into an entire online argument. That's especially true when you're dealing with people who already have complicated histories. The moment G Herbo's name entered the conversation, the situation became much bigger than a simple interview. Now people were debating loyalty, friendship, financial support, and whether certain relationships are actually as close as they appear publicly. Personally, I think J Mane knew that question was going to get a reaction. Whether you consider that good journalism or trolling is up to you, but if you ask a question involving someone's money, relationships, and loyalty, you can't be surprised when that person responds, and that's exactly what happened. At the same time, Herbo probably could have ignored the situation completely, because once you respond publicly, you give the story another life. People who hadn't even seen the original interview now have a reason to search for it. That's simply how social media works. So now we have three different perspectives. J Mane can say he was simply asking a question. Melo Bucks didn't directly accuse Herbo of anything, but her response was interpreted by some people as being revealing. And G Herbo made it clear that he didn't appreciate his name being brought into the conversation and defended the support he provides to people around him. So what do you think? Was J Mane simply doing his job? Was the question unnecessary? Do you think Melo Bucks' response was being misunderstood, or do you think Herbo should have just ignored the entire situation? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because whenever the next chapter of this story drops, you already know we're going to be here to break it down. I'm out.